Hi, welcome to my 31 week blog on expressing colostrum or colostrum harvesting, as it's otherwise known, from 31 weeks pregnant. So, why am I doing this blog? Well, there's no information out there for women really on expressing colostrum or colostrum harvesting at the early stages of pregnancy. There's a lot of information out there from sort of week 36 onwards, which is when most medical organisations encourage women to express if they need to, although expressing colostrum is not essential. So then that does beg the question of why am I doing this? Why am I expressing or have been expressing from this early stage? Well, I started at week 27 of my pregnancy to get quite a strong discomfort in actually both of my breasts, which I recognised from the full feeling or the need to express and the need to release what's inside from when I breastfed my son first time round. So this is my second pregnancy and we're having a little girl this time, or so I've been told. There's been a bit up and down with scans and things, but we finally found out that she is a she. So anyway, this time round, my pregnancy has been pretty much the same. No issues to speak of. Not even back pain at this stage, although I do get a bit of breathlessness, but that's quite common really. So yeah, but it completely took me by surprise that from week 27 I had this feeling of feeling really full, and I was thinking, this is strange. So I thought, well, I'll go to the shower, give him a bit of a squidge, as you do. And what came out actually surprised me. I had quite a lot of quite yellow colostrum, and I thought that, well, that's quite unusual. I know I've never really had that before, never had it in my first pregnancy. In fact, in my first pregnancy, my milk was actually delayed significantly. It didn't come in until about 7 days after my son was born, because I had to have intravenous fluid, so I had to have an epidural to deliver the first one. So so that delayed everything. So this was a bit of a shock to me. So I thought, right, okay, how can I save this instead of just squeezing it off in the shower? How can I save it? I need to research it as well. So I did. So naturally, in a global pandemic, you can turn to obviously your medical professionals, but most people look online first, as I did. So I had a quick look online, and there isn't really any information for women so early on in the pregnancy about expressing colostrum. There's one organisation who does support it called the Lalesh League, and they basically say that you can express colostrum for a couple of minutes a day from when you enter the third trimester of pregnancy. And they said that it is generally thought of as being okay to do so, but obviously you need to check with your midwives first. So I spoke to my midwives and checked with them, and they said, yeah, you're fine, you're low risk pregnancy, there's no complications or likelihood of any complications. And my first pregnancy was low risk as well, so but well, I feel fairly confident doing what I'm doing. I know my body a bit more, so I'm going to carry on. So I have been. But whilst I've been expressing away, there's been obviously a lot of controversy, and I'm a kind of person who likes to stay well informed. I like to know that what I'm doing is definitely the right thing, even though I've been told by my midwives and found obviously the Lalesh League online who can help with that. They're on Facebook, we've got various forums and things. But you just want some other kind of source or affirmation that is this the right thing to be doing. So I started to have a look on forums and looking at the information that was there. It was very controversial. You've got a lot of medical sources that say you don't need to do anything until 36 weeks. So you think, okay, well, that's fine, but I've got discomfort. So if I've got discomfort, then how is that going to relieve the discomfort? So so I thought I'd carry on expressing, but just do it with some caution, because obviously I don't want to suddenly encourage preterm labour, which is what the risks are. And it is quite evident if you just type it into Google. You will get that little box that comes up at the top to tell you that this is a risk. If you do it pre 36 weeks, it can bring on contractions, in some people who are maybe more likely to have it. So I thought, well, what I'll do is I'll go on a couple of forums and just see what they say. So I've read quite a few, and most women who are expressing early in pregnancy for whatever reason, most women are actually told within the first couple of comments, you should not be doing this, you shouldn't be expressing. And for me, I think, well, hang on a second, you've not even asked any questions about this person, you've not even got to know their situation, their circumstances, nothing. You've just told them no. And yes, and you've just come out with the risks of preterm labour, which for some people is a very real risk, given that. But for other people who are having other issues, then those need to be taken into account. And I just think, you know what, yeah, okay, forums, they're not medical studies, but there aren't any medical studies, so you have to take, go for the best information that you can. So I decided then to post on a forum, actually, and I was kind of glad that I did, but also I kind of wish I hadn't at the same time. So I'd expressed, and I'd gone through the process of saving some of that colostrum, freezing it, storing it, and put up a photo of that, and explained that I'd spoken to my midwives, and midwives said it was okay for me to do this and to carry on doing it, and they actually encouraged me to do it. They said, yeah, good girl, keep going, basically. And I put it on a forum that is managed and run by lactation consultants, and the response that I instantly got was pretty horrific, actually. Some obviously lactation consultants are very highly qualified. I'm not getting at anybody's medical profession at all, but there were also quite a few mums on there as well, experienced mums too. But instead of people asking me, okay, a few more detailed questions about maybe what I'm doing, how frequently I might be expressing, and getting a bit more information and trying to get to know me, it was a case of, don't do it, you shouldn't be doing this, stop right now, you're gonna have a preterm labour, you're putting your baby's life at risk by expressing colostrum. And you just kind of think, whoa, take a step back, this is crazy, this is absolutely nuts. Why would women speak to pregnant women like this when they've been through that process themselves, and they know that people can be a bit hormonal and maybe a bit sensitive to these sorts of things? And there were a few on there that were supportive, but as soon as they come out with anything supportive, for example, I remember a lady, she was said, or commented and said, well, actually, I don't really see much difference between what you're doing and then tandem feeding a toddler. There is a little bit of difference, because I had a break between, I stopped breastfeeding, then my toddler is now on cow's milk, and then obviously I'm getting this feeling. So maybe because the pregnancies are quite close, it's influenced my body chemistry, but it's not quite the same thing because I'm not breastfeeding at the moment. But yeah, so this poor lady, and she was literally almost shouted down in comments by other people on the forum. We think, wow, this is quite controversial, and it was very odd. So the comments were turned off on the post by the administrator, and it came off the forum. I thought, right, okay, this is a bit much. But obviously it gives you a definitive answer that most people think you shouldn't do it, basically. Unless, obviously you are, you have a reason to do it. So for example, if you're going to have a complication of pregnancy or birth even, then, obviously you seek the help of the medical professionals to do that. But yeah, it actually caused quite a lot of shock, to be honest. And not only that, I actually had one of the moderators, message me afterwards saying that I shouldn't be talking about this, and that I shouldn't be encouraging other women, apparently, to do this, or what I was doing was apparently dangerous. And I was just thinking, this is very, very odd why somebody would suddenly come out with this. And contrary to what I've been told by my midwives, what I've read on the Lalesh League, and also what my body is telling me, That's the most important thing. I thought, well, if my body's telling me to do something, like express, I probably should do that. I probably should listen to my body, because if I don't and I just leave it, then it could cause problems. It could cause more problems. So I thought, well, I'm going to ignore some of this advice. And I know that that sounds completely contradictory to everything that is online. But I thought, do you know what? Nobody's talked about how often you express. So when you think about it, when you read the detail, it says fleshly, basically advise that you go into your third trimester and you can express for a couple of minutes a day, obviously with approval from your midwives is the big underlying statement on that. But then when you look at other medical advice, it basically says, oh, don't do anything until 36 weeks and then try to do it 2 to 3 times a day. And you think, well, hang on, there's a bit of a jump between 2 to 3 times a day at 36 weeks and absolutely nothing before then. So I'm thinking, well, there must be surely some kind of middle ground. So thinking, well, maybe frequency of expressing is what the issue is here, and people aren't sort of picking up on that anywhere. To be quite honest, they're not thinking of that at all. So I thought, well, let's do this. Let's try frequency of expressing. So looking at it, I've been doing sort of once every other day, generally, from week 27. I've kept a diary as well, and I've recorded the amounts that I've expressed in my written blog, so feel free to have a look at that. And I'll continue to do that basically up until the birth of the baby. And hopefully I'll be able to find some time to do a little bit of writing afterwards. But what I wanted to do was to record as much information as I can that would be useful to other women, because of the issues that I've experienced and also read online. It's almost like if any woman wants to talk about this, then she's immediately shut down, unless she does her own thing like a video or a blog where you can't take that down. So let's have a look. So what have I got on my next thing? What do I actually do to express colostrum? So basically, all I do is get a little Tupperware like this. This is actually one that I've used as a baby food storage container, but it doesn't have to be anything fancy. It could be a bottle, it could be anything else. Make sure it's sterile, so I sterilise it with boiling water, remembering to do the sides as well and the lip, and basically just express straight into this. You don't get much at all, maybe a couple of teaspoons at the absolute most. So I think the most I've ever expressed in one go is probably about 6.4 mil roughly, and that's so far to date. Obviously potentially it might go up in week 36 to 39 of the pregnancy. That just depends on how things go, but I don't get more than that. That's it really. And some days I'll just get 2 mil. It's been very varied. There's no sort of set pattern for each day. It's just kind of as and when I feel the need to express to relieve the discomfort that I'm feeling. So once I've got it in here, a little bit of colostrum in there, then I'll basically get some syringes. So I bought a pack of these syringes online. That's the brand name there. And basically, if I hold this up to the camera, you'll see that they are. There we go. If I can see that there. It's basically a 1 ml syringe, so it's quite small. There's not a lot really to it. It's quite small. So yeah, it's got a plunger to it, and they also come with caps. So these are individual syringe caps. So all I do is I express straight into here, and then sterilising the syringes with boiling water. So you pump them with boiling water beforehand, and sterilise the outside as well because it's going into the colostrum. Then just suck up what's inside the colostrum that will be there, and then place the cap on, so sterilise the caps as well, and then place them into a freezer bag. So here's some I did yesterday. So I did about 5.5 mil roughly yesterday. So I've placed them inside. I can only really get 3 syringes into this particular freezer bag because I bought a slightly too small size. So I've marked it as bag 1 and bag 2 basically, and just put the date on it. I think some midwives, depending on when and how often you express, if you're expressing several times a day, then they suggest writing the time on there as well. But I'll probably do that later on, because at the minute I'm just expressing sort of once in the evening when I get some free time. So yeah, this is what I do. Now that's what I've got in one go there, which is quite good. So I feel quite pleased with that, actually. Even though obviously the focus at the moment is just relieving the discomfort, but it's nice to know you can get a little stash going and sort of very gradually build it up. So yeah, getting the syringes and supplies and things, and all these little bags as well, these clear Ziploc bags. Get it all online basically, but just beware that if you buy something in a pack like this, even though it says they're sterile, as soon as you open the pack, they're not sterile. So that's the same with caps as well. So they will need additional sterilising, but some people might want to do a little bit more sterilising than what I do, which is fine. Do what you want to do, but basically that's how I do it. I just pump it with boiling water a few times, and that will kill off anything for me. Yeah, so in terms of where I want to go with this blog, I think at the minute it's just a case of proceed with caution. Obviously, I'm just relieving or expressing colostrum to relieve the discomfort that's there. And it's nice to know that when baby does arrive, that they will have a little bit of a stash. And if there are complications, so for example, if I have to have intravenous fluids, or I'm not producing as much colostrum at that point, then I will have some backups and supplies. And also having a toddler as well. You know, this is not going to go to waste. Having a little toddler, I can actually just pop this in his milk bottle and he'll drink it. So, you know, if it doesn't go in one child, it will go in the other, basically. And also, it's really important to note that it's actually, colostrum will actually keep for up to 6 months in the freezer. So expressing when you get into your third trimester is actually quite beneficial, because you've got 3 months there, and then 3 months to use up your supplies that's in the freezer. Obviously, I want to breastfeed this time round, and in the hospital, you know, I plan to have the baby in the hospital. I do plan to feed straight from the breast in hospital, but yeah, if there's any issues, or for instance, if baby goes through quite an intense growth spurt and needs a bit more, I can just give them these, basically, and I'll be quite relieved in that. They contain a lot of antibodies, and that's how baby will build their immune system. So yeah, so basically I'm quite pleased and quite proud of my little stash. But also, I think for myself, whilst I feel like a bit of a guinea pig doing this blog and kind of writing about my thoughts and feelings on the subject, I feel like I'm actually more in control at week 31. I think week 27 I had so many questions and was getting no real answers from, or getting two polar opposite answers from professionals, which is a bit strange. But yeah, I just to wrap up, really, I feel more confident in myself. I feel like I know what I'm doing. I'm in control of this, and I'll just proceed with caution. You know, I will continue to express, and I know there may be comments. I probably plan to put this video on YouTube and other places. Maybe there'll probably be comments where people say, "Oh, what you're doing is silly. It's dangerous. It's this. It's that." But you know what? Just wait till my baby's born, and probably on time. It could even be late. You never know. Nobody knows when baby's going to come, and we will go from there. But to be quite honest, I think most women are very well educated and want to be informed, and if my experience helps somebody else, then great, you know, great. But yeah, and the only time then I'd look to seek building a supply of colostrum will be at week 36, and I think that'll probably be when I do my next video blog, potentially around that sort of time, week 36, week 37, when I'm a lot bigger, a lot fatter, and a lot more pregnant. So thanks and bye.